sometimes I may feel like I'm in the back burner,
Right.
but it's not really that. It's we're evolving as humans, which is what you're supposed to do.
Right.
So yeah, you're marrying the unknown, and again, like, how do men deal with that? How do women deal with that? So it's never a thing where it's just a one script, one blueprint. You're continuously trying to figure things out, communication, and I want to have real conversations about how people deal with these things.
Yeah.
All right, we are back. I'm your host, John Reese with Inside the Mind, and I have a very special guest today. We are going completely left. No athletes, no coaches, but I do have someone very special, man. She is the C.O.O. of Battle Up Productions, as well as an NPC judge, Miss Sheila Brown. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm so happy to be here. It's exciting. I'm in the comfort of my own place, so this is
that's the best way to do it. Be comfortable in your own home.
Exactly.
So I'm excited for you to be on as well, because again, you're going to bring a very unique perspective to this dialogue, to this conversation, and I feel it's needed for those who choose to listen. And I'm almost certain a lot of people will click in on your episode, because again, it's been a lot of athletes to kind of give their own internal perspective, but again, someone from the outside looking in, they can pretty much add a lot of wisdom to this. So where I would like to start would be, where did you get your start in bodybuilding, and how long have you been in the sport?
I got my start in bodybuilding in 1984. I was walking down this strip mall, and this gym owner came out and saw my arms and said, "Hey, you with the arms, have you ever thought about bodybuilding?" And I didn't even know what it was.
Right.
And I said, "No." He said, "If you do this show next month, I give you free gym membership."
Wow.
And I'm like, okay. I was like, don't give me the line. I was 20 something, maybe 21, 22, 1984. And I did that show. I forgot what it was. And I won.
That's all right.
That's the main thing, right? I won.
Right.
And after that, I just, and the only thing we had there was just bodybuilding. There was no women's physique. It was strictly bodybuilding and possibly fitness. And I just started competing. And, when it's just bodybuilding, you had no other choice. So even though I was the smallest girl, there was no other category I could have jumped into. And then it just went from there. I started judging, and then I started posing, and then one thing led to another. Then I started promoting shows, and then such a blessing.
So you've seen pretty much like a whole evolution in a sense.
Yes, absolutely.
So
It's amazing.
talk to me about that, like the evolution from when you competed all the way up until 2000, I'll say 24, even though no shows have happened yet this year. Like what are some of the biggest differences, besides the plethora of divisions, of course? Like what are some of the biggest differences that you see?
Well, I started in bodybuilding. So I was in that same genre as Carla Dunlap. I don't know, you probably weren't even born then, but Carla Dunlap, Rachel McLeish. So it was, right now, they look like how they were smaller than the bikini girls now.
Wow.
So it was that. It was like a Baywatch. It was, small. So I competed. Carla and Rachel McLeish kind of stopped. I was still there. And then I kind of blended into my first time seeing Linda Murray.
Okay.
And I'm like, who the heck is that? Because I started tiny, and I was big. And she walked in, and I just looked at her, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I was heavyweight, and she was heavyweight, but she was truly heavyweight. I'm like, her legs were huge. Right then, I'm like, oh, I can't get that big. So I stayed through, and I think I stopped right before Iris Kyle started competing.
Okay, I heard of that name.
Yes, and then I took a break, and then by that time I was judging. And when I came back, Women's Physique came. And it was the Dana Lynn Bailey. So I've seen it evolve from how small I was in bodybuilding to how big the girls got in bodybuilding. And then I saw Women's Physique evolve. And that was a big thing. So all these girls that were too small for bodybuilding, they transferred over to Women's Physique. Okay. And then, we've always had fitness. So the fitness girls were still amazing from the beginning 80s until now. That didn't change, but the body types changed because, physique then, Women's Physique then was still, it was a smaller version, kind of small and petite. And now these Women's Physique girls now are just amazing. It's just breathtaking how they just create their bodies. They have more access to things. Their diets are different now than when I was coming up. There's no such thing as a refeed. I didn't know what that was. So, and then you see what was next? Was it bikini was next? You start seeing the bikini girls, and I saw how they were small at first, petite, and then they started kind of gradually getting a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. And then next thing you know, I'm like, oh my God, her legs are huge. Are you wellness? No, I'm bikini. I'm like, wow. So it started evolving. The girls started getting bigger. Figure used to have one-piece suits.
Wait, I didn't know that.
Yes. They started in one piece. And then people were saying, but we can't see their whole body. We can't see their abs. We can't see. And then it evolved to two-piece suits. So yes, it started with one piece. That's crazy, right? And then getting kind of the blur. I forgot after bikini, what was it? No, it was probably Men's Physique. And the Men's Physique I knew about were like in the back, like Jason Poston. That was Men's Physique. And then now you see the E-Banks, and you just see, they're bigger now, But I know they toned that down now that they have.
Oh yeah, they slapped that weight cap on there real quick.
Yes.
Wow, that is amazing. So I guess I can go back to when you're starting this evolution, when you're competing. Is there any thoughts in your head where it's like, okay, how do I continue? Is there doubt? Is there more confidence? Like, where is your head at as you're noticing this evolution?
I was totally. So I got my pro card in Women's Physique, and I did a show in Louisiana, the Optimum Classic, and I did the New York Pro. And after that, when I saw the girls, I think I got top 10, so I think I got 9th or 8th. But then when I saw the winner, and I'm like, I was okay with getting out of it. But I stayed because I still want to push myself and thinking, I think I can go far and still stay the way I look, I thought. But then I had to get out because I got diagnosed with lupus in 2013.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So that's okay. I'm totally okay with that. But in my head, when you're forced to retire, you're still fighting it. So after I got out of the hospital, I'm thinking, I think I can do another pro show because you're not ready, in my hospital gown, tubes. But I'm like, I can still do it, but then I'm like, I have to do bikini or figure because there's no way I can compete against. So in my head, I was still fighting not being able to be on stage because I didn't retire on my terms.
Got you.
So a lot of them, like even some Olympians, when they have to retire, they kind of fight it and they kind of still want to keep going, even though maybe someone told them or they see it in their body that they can't compete. You got to listen to your body. And so it was hard at first. And now there's still a little bit of me like, okay, I wonder, can I just get on stage one more time? Maybe I can do figure, because, it's hard to let it go. It's hard to let it go.
What do you attribute that to? Because, and I asked that because, again, okay, so I got my start in 2019, and I was, when I say novice, I was novice mentally, as far as not being aware of what the sport was. I was trying to fulfill a promise to my mom. It was supposed to be one show. Now I'm 11 in, but I have to develop that sense of like, okay, let me hurry up and do one show. Like this itch, like I don't want to let it go. Like I don't want to take these steps back. Even though I finally did in 2023, I took the year off. But what do you attribute that to, that unwillingness to let it go?
It's something. It's just something in you. You miss the endorphins and the dopamine when you're on that stage. It's a powerful thing to you're on that stage and all these people paid money to see you. And then, oh my God, Jonathan Reese, and then Jonathan Reese goes pro and Jonathan Reese does this, and then you're like, yeah, that's me. So for that to be no longer, it's just
Yeah,
tough.
that's tough. That is tough. I just got goosebumps you saying that. Like,
And
yeah.
because we're still in the industry, that itch is there. But if we weren't in the industry, I think the itch wouldn't be as, hard to scratch. But I think because we're still part of the industry, you're like, okay, one more show. I know I've done 11, but just one more show. But it's something about, when you go to a good show and you're going on the stage and the videographers are there and the photographers are seeing you walk on the stage, and you have all these pictures and people did video of you doing your routine. You're like, oh yeah. And hearing Bob Chickarilla call that name, it's nothing like it, is it? Nothing like it.
Yeah, you're right. Always had envisions of being like a professional athlete. I used to play basketball.
Mm.
That was like my dream. And then of course, I never realized the amount of work it took. Bodybuilding taught me that, how much work it took to become a professional athlete. So now that I get to be on stage, my name called, I turned pro. Yeah, I have this sense like, man, I think I want to do this for a very long time. I don't know what that time frame is, but yeah, so I totally get it. Cause even last year when I took the year off, I was still looking at the schedule like, huh, like,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
yeah, I
Yeah.
totally get it. So you are the COO of Battle Up Productions, and from a lot of the athletes that I had on here, they talk about doing shows in Texas. Texas, the the lights, just the whole setup, the production, like everything is a step above everything else. From this is from what I hear. I haven't done a show in Texas. That is definitely my plan this year for sure.
Awesome.
So, why do you feel athletes say that?
We bring a different vibe. It's just a different vibe. When you walk into our show, you first of all, the DJ is off the chain.
Yeah,
So,
I heard Freddie gets busy.
oh my gosh. And then he hires the best DJs for our shows. And it's not a CD, it's not Spotify, it's actually mixes. And if you're a pro and you tell a DJ, can you bring me out to this song? We do it.
Oh.
So something about that. Case in point, Jessica Bedelia, she did the Texas Pro, and
Mhm.
she said, "I want this song." And something about knowing that, you know, you're a pro, and I can pick my music. It's not at every show, but it's at our show. And there's something about picking your favorite song, and you coming out to your routine, and y'all get about 35, 40 seconds. Just something like that just hypes up that athlete, which hypes up the crowd, and then you as a spectator walks in and see the crowd just standing up, and then the open bodybuilders coming into the VIP doing their pose down the stage. We literally go to the Olympia to get ideas.
That's
So
smart.
I like that stage, or I like the way they came out. So we'll go to. I mean, that's the Olympia. That's the show. So we aspire to be something similar to that to make the athletes feel welcome and want to come back because it's all about the athletes. It's all about that. So yeah, it's that. It's just the vendors, but really, I think it's the music. Really.
I'm smiling now because so again, like I'm a very musically inclined person. I like posing, especially the R&B, but it can be anything. I feel a sense of like of rhythm within me, not just within the music, as far as like when I'm posing. So the fact that you said that is like, because men's physique doesn't get to do that. So the fact that you said that is just like, okay, that's definitely an added bonus to that. So yeah, I'm excited about that.
And then if you love to pose and you tell them the song you want to hear, and then one year we had lights coming out, like y'all walk through an arch. Jonathan Reese, IFBB Pro, and then you can nod your head and then walk from one side to another, and then the crowd, and then we had the videographer on stage while you're posing. So that right there gives you like it's all
Oh
about me. And then
yeah,
you make
you'll
that
see me
video.
this year. Yes,
My
yes,
job is done. That was my
yeah.
whole MO.
Yeah, that is awesome. Oh my gosh, I'm hyped for that. That is cool. That is cool. So, along with the production and pretty much you're investing your time, your efforts, how you guys do things. Again, you get to see things from afar. What are some of the things that you see that athletes go through, like when they're at a battle of production show, that that could be beneficial mentally or it could be a detriment mentally? Like, what are some of the things that you see that they go through?
You know, it's an intimidating sport because you're on this stage with 5 or 7 judges, half naked, and we're doing this. And so, you don't get a smile. Now, the women judges, like I like to just encourage them, but for the majority, because we're just critiquing your body, you're being judged and you're half naked. So they're thinking out there when they get on that stage. They're already nervous and they know they've invested 12 weeks for 45 seconds or 10 seconds. So some of them get real nervous. Some of them are backstage actually shaking. Some of them probably taking shots, some wine, some CBD to try to, calm them down. But I'm always backstage saying, y'all ready? It's so easy because I've been on the stage, so I know what they go through, and looking at other athletes, they're second guessing when they're on stage. I see them looking at other athletes. I'm like, don't look at the other athletes, look at the judges. But it's hard not to look over and size somebody up. So they go through a lot for 12 weeks. What if I don't win? That's going through their head, especially those professional athletes that came from another background, like basketball, that's their sport and it's a team sport. And now you're coming to a sport when you're judged individually and it's a subjective sport. So all that's going through their head, like, my God, my parents are here, my trainers here, I don't want to let them down. And it's intimidating. You have to have thick skin to be in this industry.
That's interesting. I never And it's funny because I come from a team sport background, but I never put those two things together. Me being in a team sport and especially playing like the point guard position where I'm responsible for, everyone being in the right positions, stuff like that. But coming into an individual sport, I think like the nervousness that always happens. I don't try to remove that either. I feel like that's all part of it. But yeah, you're back there like doing this, doing that. And I think I told Antoine this story. Like my first pro show, I was probably lost for 10 minutes because I was back there with all these people that I've followed for so long on in social media. And I'm like,
Yeah,
yo, there's Antoine, yo, there's George, yo, there's such and such and such and such. And I'm just like, I'm supposed to be pumping up and I'm probably halfway doing it.
yeah,
It's like, but
absolutely.
yeah, that will never happen again. But you're absolutely right as far as like, yeah, it's no longer a team thing. Yeah, you're on a team, but this is the work that I put in. and I have to display this. And it like no one can, once it's time to walk up them stairs and get on stage, it's just you. And you are being subjectively
Yeah.
criticized. And yeah, I thought about the subjective part. Have you had like any athletes talk to you about like how the judging aspect may play on their mental health?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because actually one of my clients just left here and he was talking to me about it. And because in their mind, they don't know, we have a criteria, although it's subjective, like maybe one judge liked the bald head. And at a point in time, we didn't like tattoos or beards. But now it's more open that, that it's like it's welcomed. But some guys will say, I knew I should have shaved, or that guy won, I had a bald head, and I know they don't like bald heads. And I'm like, but we have a criteria anyway. We're looking at your physique. And yeah, you're Miss Physique, so you gotta be cute. You can't be like a sea monkey. You got you gotta be some eye candy, because it's a total look. But in the beginning, it's like the shoulder to lat ratio, and then the lat to the waist, and then and the legs. And I'm sorry, although we say we don't judge legs, it
Look, talk to me about that because and it's so funny. When I train my clients, we hit legs very hard. And I know even though Tyler said them shorts is getting raised now, which is good, but
yeah,
I've heard people say, well, why would we train legs? They don't. I said, look, if you get up there and it throws your whole physique off, then what
absolutely,
else are they gonna stare at?
yes, yeah.
So again, can you like elaborate a little bit more on that for those who are listening, as far as for men's physique goes? Like, how important is the body to be symmetrical and for athletes to not ignore legs?
You cannot ignore legs. You cannot, because it's a total package. If I see a top heavy guy, yes, he's going to get that look. Oh my gosh, he's off the chain. And if those shorts are baggy and from the knee down, there's nothing. And then you have, I'm going to use Antoine. And you see Antoine and his shorts are fitted. And because remember when those shorts were wide?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then next thing you know, a Chula comes in and gets them tapered, and then the short designers, they follow suit. When you see guys fitted on the shorts, you cannot ignore that. And then you see somebody has some calves, you have to dismiss Popeye, and
Hey.
you have to go, because it is a total package.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're going to judge how clean shaven you are. We're going to judge the legs, because it's just, your eyes just kind of gravitate to it. I mean, those top 5 Olympians, there were no skinny legs in that top 5 at all. At all. And then, yeah, I mean, I just, where my eyes gravitate, if he fits the criteria and then he's got some legs, it's just automatic. It's just, your eyes just going to go that way. I don't care if you're bald, shaven, not shaven. But yeah, competitors would go with, Sheila, what about my mustache? What about this? And I'm like, you can keep it, but you got to trim it up, clean it up. You can't be a whole hillbilly. You got to, shave it, keep it maybe after 5, keep the hair, but not so much. So tattoos don't matter. But I tell them, if you're all tatted up, if we can't see the conditioning, then of course our eyes are going to go to this. It's not like I can't say we take off for tattoos, but if you tat it up and sleeves everywhere and the back is tatted up, we can't see the definition or the details of the body. That's the only way. But if you have maybe a light tattoo, a little bit, and we can see it, then it's different. So yeah, it's just, yeah. And they'll think that we're not looking at you. They think that too. But let me tell you, when y'all come out, I'm looking at you from the corner. And then my head is down because I already seen from the corner. And then you walk up to the front, I'm looking at you then. But then when you start turning, my head is down because I don't care about that transition. But when you face the back, I'm looking right up again, like boom. So when you come back around, I'm probably riding. So to you, I'm not looking again, but I've seen the back. So then
Mm.
I'm because let me tell you, Steve Weinberg, he goes fast.
Don't
I've seen
he?
the oh so I'm already like, okay, hold on, let me get my top seven.
Mm.
So when you turn around, you see my head down, that's automatically what they're thinking. Because so much goes through their head, they're just thinking they didn't even look at me. Well, we had to look at you to call your name in the call outs, but you're feeling some kind of way because we're not looking at you the whole time, but we're taking notes, and they don't see that. And that's understandable for them not to see that.
Wow, that is amazing insight. I hope when y'all listen to this, I hope y'all taking notes because she just dropped a lot of gems for you. And that's funny because I remember, first of all, my first show, I had no clue how many judges. I had no, in fact, I used like
Mm,
this technique where I would stare through the judges to make it seem like I'm making eye contact with some of them, but I'm not. Cause I didn't,
yeah.
I had no clue. So it was like a deer in the headlights. But once I kind of figured out, okay, it's these 5 judges, so on and so forth. And then it's just like, oh, but I've ran into that where like I'm doing my posing and they're just looking down. I'm like, okay, what happened? I didn't get a look. Like, I don't know what that is. But the fact that you just
Mhm.
explained that, and then it's just so many athletes you guys gotta watch. Like
Yes. Yes.
that,
I,
oh my God. So I would like to know as a judge, what, even though it is subjective, like what type of, I guess, mental stuff do you guys go through as a judge when you have to judge so many athletes, whether it's on a pro level, Olympia level, like whatever the case is? Like, how do you prepare yourself to not mentally be burnt out?
yeah. And so that's why we have an alternate judge, sometimes two. If I need to, like when I used to judge Pittsburgh, the Masters National and the North American, oh my God, it used to be about 12 judges. And that's why they say, okay, we're gonna switch judges. Now we have, that's why. But in a smaller scale, I can stand up and say, hey, John Fish, can you take this seat? I need to just rest my eyes. Or Tyler was said, okay, we're gonna take a 10-minute break. And then because on the local shows, there's no switching, but we have alternate judges. So at least we have somebody to take away. So my eyes, I have to look away. I have to walk away and just like take a breather. All right, let's go back.
Okay.
It's tough. The toughest thing, I think the toughest category to me is bikini.
Why? Well, I can kind of take a guess, but why?
I mean, I've seen so many glutes, and and it was hard for me when it first came out because I came from bodybuilding, so I was automatically going for the big legs because I came from that era, and they would say, "No, no, we're not looking for big. We're looking for a streamline." And and I'm like, "Oh my God, but she's so skinny." But you have to when you start sitting with Sandy and Steve and Gary, then you understand. Okay, the glutes need to sit up high, but these girls, all their glutes sit up high. I don't. How do you do it? I mean, and then when they walk, but nobody's butt is moving. No one's glutes are jiggling. So I have to follow lead first. Like, oh, okay. When I see that top seven and my top five didn't get called out, then I'm like, oh, okay, because they have that eye. Then Tyler was mentored by Gary and Steve, so he has that eye from looking at it, but it's tough. But now look at it, small waist, the glutes the legs cannot be bigger than the glutes, and no striations now, and no cap shoulders now, and it's still tough. It's still
Look,
tough.
I've come to appreciate all of you, and even though and I'm gonna speak from an athlete perspective.
Yeah.
When I missed my pro card by 1 point in South Carolina when they had University of South Carolina, it was 2020.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a serious issue with Tyler, but that was just me being an athlete, wanting to win. I didn't ask for feedback. Again, the typical disgruntled athlete who just wanted to win and felt like I
Yeah.
deserved it all because
Yeah.
I'm the only one that put in the work. But it could be so. Again, I've grown to appreciate all of you because it can be very difficult when you're looking at the most minute details to make the
Yes.
separation. So I want to give my appreciation to you. I haven't been judged by you, but I want to give my appreciation to you for even being willing to sit on that panel because it's hard.
It's tough. And you always have and you have to try to keep whatever whatever happened in their life, whatever things that happen that you know about from social media, you have to be able to just leave that there, leave that at home, and judge them as just a person on that stage. So that's the hardest thing is, okay, whatever they did with the grapefruit,
Oh Lord.
just leave it alone. Like la 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 la. Just look at the body, Sheila. Just look at the body. Whatever. But sometimes it lets us know what kind of person they are too, though.
Okay.
Because if you're going to represent Mr. Olympia, you need to be on it. Because they do kind of watch how you carry yourself on social media. Are you bashing the judges? Are you being nasty and ugly publicly? Because the pro, they get held to a higher standard. So you have to carry yourself because these new athletes, they're looking at these pros. And when my people get their pro card, I call them and I called Tony Tavares and I said, you're a pro now. Carry yourself accordingly. Handle yourself with dignity because these young athletes are looking at you. So each one of my people that go pro, I give them the call and I give them the talk. It's gonna.
How far does that talk go? And the reason why I ask because social media is so influential. It's beyond influential. And so I would like to know the purpose behind that conversation and why you would need to make sure you have it versus like how influenced do you how much do you feel the pros are influenced by social media? It's like a two-part question.
How much the pros are influenced?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I want to say the pros. And again, I'll give you a perspective from me. Like
Okay.
when I first turned pro, I took this picture with Chiron. He was literally backstage and he's one of my favorite athletes. And he goes, "Thank you, man. Like you made it. You made it. Finally." I was like, "Appreciate it." And I put my hand on his shoulder and I was like, "Oh wow, I gotta stand next to you now." So I found myself like, okay, what is he doing? Following him, and so on and so forth, and all this
Oh,
other stuff. And like it kind of for a while was like it kind of dictated my thinking and my behavior and so on and so
yeah.
forth.
Yeah.
So do you see pros go through that as well, where social media kind of influences them to behave in a manner
Oh,
that they normally wouldn't?
yes, absolutely. Because there's social media, and you are following your nemesis, or you're following somebody that you said bad thing. But you have to, in a point, you have to have tunnel vision and know that somebody said this on Instagram. They said, you can't let your chapter 1 be influenced by somebody else's chapter 15.
Mm.
You've got to, who said Rachel Proctor said that. Yeah, you have to just know this is my journey. I mean, you can look at them and say, hey, great job, but and especially if you don't have their body type and you don't have the way you're built, it's not the way they're built. You got to trust your prep coach. So sometimes you have to have blinders and just focus on that. And that's why some of our athletes, I never had to, but they would shut down social media because of that. I never had to shut it down because we didn't have it then. There was no such thing as, we had MySpace. You don't know anything about that. But
Oh, I know.
you got to shut down something but I tell my girls, like, or my guys, okay, 4 weeks out, shut it down because you don't know where those pictures come from. And as that Goop guy says, you don't know what's been photoshopped and what, has been photoshopped. Don't let it deter you from going for where you think. One of my clients got second at the Battle of Texas, and she was heartbroken because she was already going to the nationals. So she jumped into the Battle of Texas. She was already qualified, but she got second. That messed with her head backstage. I mean, she was in tears. And I said, you cannot do that. You cannot do that because I've seen people win an overall at my show a long time ago. And then they get on stage and they weren't even first call out. And I've seen people got fifth place and got their pro card the next week. And I said, you wipe those tears up and you get ready for the nationals. And she did an overall and won at the nationals.
That's what I'm talking about.
They take it so personal. I was in last call out for years. And then boom, junior nationals, I got third. The USA, I won overall at the age of 48. But you have to carry yourself a certain way because those judges look at them when they get off stage and they take that medal off and you can see them not shaking that hand. Those judges look at that. And this disgruntledness on stage, that's one thing they do not like is unsportsmanlike conduct. So you smile and you keep your opinions to yourself and don't voice it on social media, you'll go for that way. But the ones that you show taking off that medal, leaving that medal here, don't take that stuff, they don't like that. So, but I know when I talk to them, they're saying they felt that they let their trainer down, they let their coach down, they let their family down. Mm-hmm. So when we look at it, it looks like they're a sore loser. But in their head, they're like, in my head, I just want to get off that stage. And I know, then they kind of shut down for a minute. I'm never going to do a show again. I retire. Then they say, okay, I'm gonna do a show. But it takes a while. It's mentally taxing, Jonathan. It's mentally taxing for them because they put all their coins. It's an expensive hobby.
Oh my goodness.
And they put all their coins and invest, and sometimes they put their family to the side, and the spouse suffers, and they're not productive at their job, and they don't know that this is happening, and then they don't win. Oh, I'm not doing the show anymore. I'm going to another organization. I mean, it's tough. And some of I don't see them again. Some of them, they just go away and they never come back.
So another 2-part question, because I was in those shoes when I turned pro, like the week before I went to Muscle Contest LA Championships. And again, like, we want to win. Like, we compete, we want to win. We put all this work in, and again, we put everyone to the side, and all the stuff you just mentioned. And I ended up placing second in my class. The person who won my class won the overall. So like I felt some type of way, but I've learned to not feel that way in that moment on stage. I don't know where that came from. I just learned to not do it. You're being watched. You can rant in the car, which is what I did to my wife all the way home. I was like,
all the way
home. But what is the best approach an athlete should take when they have such high expectations and the show just doesn't go their way and they want to approach a judge about feedback? Like, what is the best approach, demeanor? Like, what is the best way to do that so they don't come off as a sore loser or they have an attitude or whatever the case is?
I think it depends on that person's personality. That's when you see their real personality show. But you're going through this journey. You got to enjoy this journey. And just think about, you being on stage, first of all, you being on stage is already an accomplishment. And just think, if I don't win, it wasn't my time. Like when I did the junior nationals, I didn't win. It wasn't my time. But I'd rather won the USA anyway than the junior nationals. You know, it wasn't your time to win the nationals in Dallas. But when your time comes, it'll be so much more rewarding. It's harder for people who never lost. They won their first local show, then they won the nationals, and they won their first pro show, and then they get to Olympia, and they were second call out. It's a tough pill to swallow, but you just have to know that, or they have to be prepped before. Like, you didn't know anything when you did your first show. You should have been told that this is a journey. Now, when you get on this stage, it's going to be a whole bunch of Mrs. E guys. So you got to know that this is not just local people now. You're going to a show that a whole bunch of people won their local shows, and they're coming from everywhere. And now you're being adjudged the best among the best. So you just getting second. Think about the people that weren't even called out to the end.
Yeah.
But you know, I know you're like, yeah, but it's about me right now.
No, it's perspective. You're right. Like in that moment, it's hard to do that.
Yes.
You definitely need to be prepped for that. And
yes.
you have to remove those emotions. Like when your name is okay, it's the last two. Like, I hope they call my number last or my name last, and then they don't. You have a split, again, the personality. You have a split second to check that personality, because like you just said, you guys are watching us and making sure we're being like showing good sportsmanship or whatever. And I always that's the thought I always have. Like, okay, I'm being watched, and if my number's called, I'm going to be happy to take second externally.
Yes.
So
shake the guy's hand. Shake all. Think about that fifth place guy. So you getting second, going over to that fifth place guy, said, man, congratulations. Don't worry. You know, you'll get it. That right there, that camaraderie, they love that. Just, you're making somebody else's day who didn't even get second. You know what I mean? So, but it is. And then when you leave that stage, you do have to take a moment. You have to take a couple of days. If you are questioning why you got second, take time to go to the judges and say, what do I need to do? You can't come on to them with, why did that guy get first? You have to word it like, I'm thinking that I want to go to the North American. What do you think I need to change? You got to come to them that way. I went to the junior nationals, and I went to Sandy and Steve, and I said, thank you so much for judging me. What do I need to change? Because I think I want to go to the USA next month. And they said, because I came from bodybuilding women's physique, he said, you got to bring that muscle down. And yes, I think you should go to the USA. Just bring that muscle down. Don't pump up backstage. I mean, they'll tell you what you need to do. And if they say, why don't you wait until the national? Take that. Because they kind of know what they're talking about. You know, if they say wait and then you show up at the USA, that's not even enough time for you to change stuff.
They told you.
They told you. Or don't get out of women's physique. You need to go to bodybuilding. If they tell you to change categories, they know something. You know, your body type speaks for itself. So you have to be open, and you have to have thick skin. You cannot be sensitive. So some people might not need to go. Maybe the trainer needs to go for them. You know what I mean? Let your trainer. Sometimes the trainer shouldn't go either. But what kind of trainer you have? But sometimes I've talked to a judge for them. Hey, Jonathan is real busy right now. what do you think he needs to work on? You know, and sometimes, you know, but if you can just take a moment just to talk to them and just listen, and just said, okay, thank you so much. And then go ahead and exhale in the car. Sometimes it helps if you look at the pictures. Because when you're on stage, you don't see it. But when you take a step back and look at the call out, then you'll say, okay, he had me on this. And sometimes there's a question of, did my front was better, his back was better. How do y'all gauge that? Like, some people say the back wins the show, you know. So it's kind of up to that panel because it's subjective, but it's always the highest and the lowest throw. The highest score gets thrown out, the lowest score gets thrown out. And then there's the average. So you just have to be open and know that if I go and talk to the judges, which I suggest everyone do, especially if they come backstage, email them, that's going to take weeks and weeks and weeks. But if you're right there and it's fresh in their memory, I would go to them, talk to them, just take a deep breath, and then go on about your way. And then go back to the lab, drawing board, and just start back again.
And look, I did that for my pro debut. I asked because Steve he flew all the way out here. That's how I know he be going so dang fast. But he flew all the way out here. And I asked him immediately, like right when I got off stage, like, hey, what do you feel like I need to work on? This was my first show as a pro. I just want to get better. And he gave me his feedback. He was brutally honest, which is what I wanted anyway. And I was like, okay, like I appreciate it. And we've been working on it ever since. So yeah, you gotta let down the ego, let down the pride, and understand that it's so hard for the athletes to understand like these are humans just like we're humans, which is the whole purpose of this, for people to understand that we're not just athletes, we're humans and we go through things. But at the same time, you guys have a very hard job to do and it's subjective. So I just want to send my grace.
But it is tough, and it's an humbling experience. And they have to know that, first of all, it's nothing personal for us if you don't win. It's nothing personal against them. We just have a job to do. And there's only 5 trophies. So we have to just, take it. And that's why we come back sometimes and rejudge. I've seen people that were in second call out that end up being in first call out. It's, and it's not even over to the fat lady thing. So I suggest if you're in second call out, still come back, because I've seen people first call out people that got third or thinking they got third were mad they never came back. So then they pull the next person in the second call out, move them up. So it's not over until it's over. So come back, still keep that tan on. Don't take that makeup off. Do not come with that scorn on your face, that scowl, but
be a professional, right?
Be professional. And it's a vain industry. And I think, it's, if I wasn't in this industry, if you weren't, I think because I love to eat, no telling how to be looking. But because I'm still in the industry, I got to kind of keep up with somebody. I have to still carry myself, like I'm still on stage, eating right. And there's so many things to be followed from competing. You can get into, if you don't want to compete anymore, you can still stay in the industry. You can try to be an NPC judge, a pro judge, be an expediter. So even if you don't want to compete and you still want to be involved, there's so many other aspects of that. It's not over just because, injuries kind of pulled you out or you don't want to be on stage anymore. You can't be on stage. You can still be relevant in the industry. So.
Got it. Oh, Miss Sheila, thank you so much for this. This was way more insightful than what I thought it was going to be. I promise you that.
Fun. Yes, I just kept looking at your crooked wall. Tell your wife she's a bomb, because I like it. I love looking at that.
Yes, so I appreciate you so much. And again, I hope all of y'all who are going to listen to this, please take notes, because she just gave y'all a lot of hidden gems that a lot of people would not tell you. So, but yeah.
Thank you. You were a great host, because you make me feel comfortable. I might do again.
You should. All right,
Yeah.
stay on
Thank
for
you
just
so
a
much
little
for
bit.
having me. I will.
Oh, no problem. See y'all in the next one. Peace.